Let me tell you what's out there. Vast reaches of wilderness, untamed. A rugged domain, majestic, but lethal. It belongs to them, the machines. The steel beasts who rule these lands and guard the secrets buried beneath its crumbling ruins. If you hunt these wilds, no matter how skilled you are, no matter how clever, you will become the hunted. Can you brave that challenge? Can you pass that test? If you want to survive, you have to make the kill. Only then can you bring to light the deep secrets of the Earth.
Pre-order and get weapon and armor modifications with the Nora Machine Trapper Pack.
PlayStation.
A story is very important. We're telling the story of Aloy, and it's fantastic to follow her personal motivation throughout the world. We explore her origins. She is trying to answer the question where she came from, who her parents are.
At the start of the game, Aloy is an outcast. She lives with the tribe, but sort of in an isolated location. When she tries to interact with people, they kind of shun her. But there are some people that do want to talk with her, and unfortunately there are some merchants that allow some limited trading as well. We have a number of quests in which you can play young Aloy. We use the child Aloy sequences mostly for tutorializing the mechanics to the player, the very basics. And as soon as you're the adult Aloy, that's when a lot of the skills and the bigger machines actually come into play.
So one of the things that was really important for us is that as Aloy discovers the world, Peggy, the player discovers the world as well. She hasn't seen a lot of the world. She's always lived in a tiny village. And for the player also, Peggy, they at the beginning of the game haven't seen a lot of this world yet. So it's all about exploration. The world that Aloy lives in basically wasn't her world. They're not the first people in this world, and that's something basically that we wanted the player to be able to discover, basically going into these ancient ruins and basically finding what this civilization was, what ended that civilization and sort of started the world in a new form. None of the tribes really remember what happened before. As far as they know, the world has always been like this. And when we just started designing these tribes, basically we sort of went sort of like anthropologists. We looked at the environment that these people have started in and basically how they would have developed, what sort of resources were around, what sort of things they could hunt, what sort of things they could eat, and also basically the machines basically that live in their environment. Right from the get-go, basically we invest a lot in characterization, in Aloy as a character, into the stories of the tribe, all the background stories, and that basically was a major point of information for all the design decisions and also all the art directional decisions that we made along the development of the project.
This is really the story of Aloy. So even though the machines define the world, they are the dominant species, it's still very much Aloy's journey. Through her story, you unravel the bigger mysteries.
Get increased stealth and increased accuracy when you pre-order at GameStop.
PlayStation. We know we weren't the first ones here. Our stories speak of the ones that came before. The old ones. The world of the old ones was so different than ours. They had built incredible cities with towers that reached the stars. But a darkness came, and their cities turned to graves. And without them, the land started to change. Their great cities faded away. And in their place came new life. Over time, one by one, the tribes came to these lands. Some small and humble, some powerful as kings. They say my tribe was the first to hunt, the first to raise our bows. For this world was never ours. We've always shared it. A dangerous balance between man and machine. There's the herd. Finally. Damn it. A watcher. Better stay out of sight. Go away. No, you don't. Sorry, little one. I couldn't let you call for help. Perfect day for a hunt. This is going to be harder than I thought. Okay, this canister should be full by now. Just a couple more. Oh, come on! Yes! Here we go! Oh, someone's angry! The stories don't tell where the old ones went. They don't tell us why the machines rule these lands. But they warn us that this balance cannot last. The storm is coming. And I will be ready.
Hi, my name is Mark Norris, Senior Producer for Guerrilla Games on Horizon Zero Dawn. And here we are, finally with Paris Games Week. We premiered Horizon Zero Dawn at E3, and at that time we only showed the behind closed doors to a number of the media members, but we've never shown it publicly. And finally, we are going to do that here today. One thing that you should know almost immediately is, yes, you can explore everything that you can see here, but we're on a quest. Now, we've hidden that quest UI and that quest interface, but one of those two tribes that you saw previously in the trailer, one of them has given you a quest, and it's a quest of critical importance. And that quest is to get a very specific resource. It's a resource from the canisters that you can find on the back of this herd that we call the Grazers. Now, why do you need this resource? Why does this tribe need it? What is happening in this world? Those are still things that we're going to keep a mystery. But you will desperately need to retrieve this because it's a critical part of what's happening. As you're looking at this screen, for the very first time, you're going to notice some of our UI or our HUD elements. Now, the art on this isn't exactly final, but you can start to see how the game is really starting to creep into what we're doing. You can see in the top middle part of the screen that there is a compass. Now, we've hidden our quest markers and our quest objectives, and we'll talk about a quest here in just a moment, but you can see a compass certainly denotes an open world style of adventure. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen, what you can see is the very beginning of a level and an experience bar. So you can start to see the RPG elements start to seep in. In the lower left-hand corner of the screen, you can actually see our health bar. It's unusual, it's painted like an arrow. Some of the tribal influences are certainly coming into the UI and HUD, and even though the art's not final, you can expect that those tribal influences will stay. You've seen a number of locales inside of the trailer for Horizon Zero Dawn. You've seen some desert, you've seen some snow, and of course you see here the forest. And currently Aloy is crouched in what we call some stealth grass or some tall grass. Stealth plays an incredibly important part of Horizon Zero Dawn. In fact, you can see the UI element for this. Right underneath the compass is a little circle. That is in fact a stealth indicator. And so Aloy will need to wait for the right moment in order to introduce that stealth attack.
Sorry, little one.
So we mentioned that there are a couple of RPG elements, right? One of those things that you just saw, especially if you've got the keen eyes or if we zoom in on it, is the number 825 that just popped up. So that number 825 is incredibly important. Why? Because it denotes that there are, in fact, RPG elements hiding behind the hood. That is a damage value. We call that floating combat text, and you can see that number pop up. But now we've actually also gotten into the loot menu. Now, we've described previously how important the machine parts are to the world of Horizon Zero Dawn, but here we're showing you some of those parts. In fact, that flame coil that you can see on screen is one of the elements that's required to build explosive arrows. Now, machine parts are incredibly important. The economy, the entirety of the world of Horizon Zero Dawn is built around these machine parts. So here you can see Aloy picking up what is essentially a couple of health plants. Now those will fill up your health if you get low, but the important thing here is actually what they represent. You will want to explore every nook and cranny of this open world. The ancient city, the tops of mountains, rivers and valleys, all kinds of settlements, because you never know what you'll find. Guerrilla's DNA is strong in Horizon Zero Dawn. We've talked about this game being an action RPG, but Guerrilla Games is really known for its action. What Aloy is going to do here, she's going to use what we call the explosive tripwire. And that is really used as a trap. It can be used as a defensive countermeasure, but it's mostly used as a preventative measure. She knows, because she spent so much time with these machines, that these Grazers are incredibly skittish, that they will run off at the first sight of her or the first sight of noise. And she knows that if she's going to complete this quest, she's got to get those canisters. So for her, the best way to make sure this happens is to set these explosive tripwires down and try to find a way to force the grazers into the traps. So that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to set down a couple of these traps, and we're going to try and create a distraction. The machines in Horizon Zero Dawn do have herd-like activities. And here we have a species defending itself, these grazers allowing a couple of them to stick around to fight Aloy. This is the mighty Thunderjaw. One thing that you will immediately notice is the size differential between Aloy and the Thunderjaw. The Thunderjaw is 24 meters long and it's 10 meters wide. It has 93 destructible armor plates, each with its own health value, and it has 271 animations and 67 VFX. It has 12 attacks, it's 550,000 polygons. And so what we're taking a look at here is actually some of the strategic and tactical elements of a fight that Aloy will want to think about when she gets engaged with the Thunderjaw. So we're going to take a look right here at the fact that there is actually some weak points on the Thunderjaw. As you're taking a look at the leg here, that orange muscle that you can kind of see underneath there, that is also a weak point. If you're able to hit that, you're able to do 4 times the amount of damage that you would ordinarily do. Now the question is, how would you actually take off that armor plate? Now we give you a couple of options there, but the best option is to use the machine itself. So we're taking a look at the disc launcher right now, and you saw earlier in the E3 trailer that you can shoot off the machine. You can shoot off the disc launcher, but you didn't know why we did it. The reason why we did it is because it takes a lot of arrows to knock off a Thunderjaw's armor plate. But if you can knock off its disc launcher, you can pick the disc launcher up and use its own weapons against it, and that's one of the best ways to take down the Thunderjaw. Fighting the Thunderjaw is an awe-inspiring experience. We talked previously about the fact that it has 12 attacks. A number of those attacks that you're seeing now you hadn't seen before. It's not that it has a tail swipe and a foot stomp and a little bit of a disc launcher attack. Shooting off those disc launchers is incredibly important for a second tactical reason. It has a 360-degree absolute assault with that disc launcher that makes it incredibly difficult for you to get anywhere close to it. So you're going to want to take off those disc launchers. But if you are, you'll notice now it still has a railgun and a mouth laser. So this thing's serious. Even though it's previously damaged, it still has a huge amount of attacks. So what Aloy is going to try and do here is try to find a way to tie the machine down so that she gets a brief window to figure out her next move.
Time to shut you down!
So that was the playthrough of the behind closed doors session of Horizon Zero Dawn. We cannot wait to show you more. We're going to show you something brand new and something huge next year. Thank you.
PlayStation.
Turn back! Corrupted machines in the valley!
I have to cross. I'm headed for the border.
Then may the goddess show mercy.
Shellwalkers. Let's have a look.
I should focus scan them. Got some weak spots, but they're tough. Risky, but I need the components. Two explosive traps coming right up.
Watch out! It's corrupted!
You did it! I came from Mother's Rise.
Corrupted attacked the village.
Yes, and something worse. A demon.
What do you mean, a demon?
It scuttled from the forest. Drove a group of Watchers mad.
How'd it do that?
I saw, but I did not understand. Oh, Goddess, protect us!
Keep running for Mother's Crown, it's not far.
Come with me, or the demon will kill you.
I don't believe in demons, and I don't run when lives are at stake. Get out of here.
You're crazy!
The village. I'll never make it in time. Unless I get a mount. Broadheads. If I override one of those, that should do.
Sorry, not today.
The village. What's that noise? What the hell is that? It's corrupting the Watcher? Vulnerable to fire. Here we go! machine. It looks ancient. Where did it come from?
PlayStation.
Horizon Zero Dawn is set in a post-apocalyptic Earth. You can kind of see that nature's reclaimed what used to be ruins of a past civilization. Humans are totally fractured. They're kind of living in tribes across the landscape. They're not the dominant species. There's all these big, dangerous machines running around that you got to watch out for. The Watchers are some of the smaller machines you're going to find in Horizon. They're always out investigating and scanning the environments. When they find something interesting, or especially a threat, they'll turn to red and alert nearby machines.
To bring the world of Horizon Zero Dawn to life, PlayStation tapped one of Hollywood's top special effects shops to bring the Watchers from the game into the real world.
When the Horizon Zero Dawn team first approached us to create the Watchers, some of their expectations were that they wanted to not stray too far from the true design of the character. They wanted it to look as close to that as possible. Spectral Motion is a multi-tiered design studio. We build robotics and animatronics. We also do special effects makeup.
The main challenge is bringing these characters to life is the physics and gravity. Making it look like this heavy metallic cables, but having a human be able to support the weight of such a thing has been pretty tricky. But we've broke some new ground on materials and how we make things and how we integrate different materials together yet to make it look completely homogeneous.
Based on the design that we received, some augmentation had to take place. The machine size in the video game is about 5 feet or so, it seems like, but we had to change the design a little bit so that it could accommodate, a real-world situation.
We'll then do a 1-to-1 scale blow-up. We'll take measurements and we'll have these huge pictures printed out so we can see exactly what it is we're dealing with. The next step is to then do what we affectionately call a garbage bag test. We put stuff together with cardboard and garbage bags and Scotch tape and hot glue, and we throw something together very quickly as a proof of concept to see, is this even an approach that we're going to go down? Is it even viable?
It was very rough, very down and dirty. The whole idea is just to give everyone an idea of what is actually going to be in a three-dimensional space, because it's much different when you take it off of the paper.
I would get the ZBrush model of the Watcher, and I would start to isolate the head or the jaw so that we could begin to have them milled out of foam. And from that point, we'll then vacuum form those shapes and create a shell.
By vacuum forming a thin sheet of this foam, we can get various sorts of texture.
This is an unfinished piece, but it's supposed to represent the gear that runs along the spine.
And let it hang over.
The camera will be located up inside, right up underneath in this area. The video element is really important because it's going to be capturing the audience reaction.
The lighting pattern will be identical to what's happening in the game at different aspects. So it'll go from blue, yellow to red. And there's a very specific pattern and sound that goes with that. We're going to have the controls in the costume, and they'll be able to interact spontaneously with anybody in E3.
Inside the foam construction of the neck, there's a mechanical structure that helps support it. So as the neck goes up and down, there's two parallelograms, providing a perfectly symmetric move so the head stays parallel with the ground as if an animal were tracking a target.
Another very important aspect of our process is the fitting. When we have actors, performers come in and try the equipment on.
Center as hard as you can.
They begin to feel what the character is, and we begin to see their performance, to have them give us feedback about what changes they may need for ergonomics, you know, for comfort, for ease of performance.
Do I have all the weight still? Yep. So here's the pack. Here's your hip belt.
Once the final steps are taken here in creating the cosmetic look, we go into a final rehearsal phase, and that's when everything really comes together.
I think people are going to freak out. I think it's going to be extremely popular, and I cannot wait to just like stalk around E3 and play with everyone.
I think their jaws are going to drop. But seeing the beautiful detail that they brought to the artwork, just seeing it move, it just is, it's pretty mesmerizing. It's just really beautifully done, and I think people are going to be out of their minds that this is like kind of brought to life right in front of them.
I love it so much.
It's crazy to see it from the game now here.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Oh, it looks amazing, man. I love the detail in it.
It really captured the essence of what it does in the game.
And it came out really, really good. Like all the details are spot on.
And big props to those guys for making it work in the real world, in the real physical world. I know that was a challenge.
I think especially hard to get it right because it has a certain charm in the game. And I think you guys really nailed that as well.
PlayStation.
Your whole life you've been searching. And the elders, they've been holding you back.
The girl is a curse. She came from nowhere. She is no one.
When they told me to raise you, I didn't ask questions.
Why am I an outcast? Who was my mother?
Always you pushed for answers. Push yourself to the edge. Here in the valley, we may be outcasts, but it's safe. Out there, girl, you'll be lost. You won't know where to turn or who to trust. You'll be chasing a riddle into a wilderness of mysteries. The world of the old ones. What secrets lie buried beneath their crumbling ruins? Why Earth is ours no more. Questions, Aloy. The tribe has forbidden. What if the answers are worse than not knowing?
You can help, or you can get out of my way.
Then be ready for the darkness. And be careful what you bring to light. Even if you do catch what you're after, How do you know it won't fight back?
Outcast! You came from nothing. You will die a nothing.
I came from somewhere. Identity confirmed. Even if it destroys me, I will see this through.
PlayStation.
The stories don't tell where the old ones went. They don't tell us why the machines rule these lands. But they warn us that this balance cannot last.
PlayStation. PlayStation. PlayStation.
The original pitch for Horizon, it was very high level still, but some of the pillars that you see in the game right now were already there. The female lead, named Aloy, this gorgeous natural beauty that the game takes place in, and also the presence as the dominant life form of the machines. The machines turned out to be very much animal inspired. That is something that the game designers found to be a very natural way for us to portray these machines.
We knew basically we wanted them very big and very awesome, and we wanted lots of them, but we didn't necessarily know what the exact look of it's going to be. We also played basically with more insect-like creatures or more traditional looking robots, but this whole aspect of nature basically and the majesty of nature combined with this much more sort of prehistoric looking creatures really created a very unique setting and a very unique look. There's something basically that in game design they call a tell, that you can sort of look at the creature and by how it's animating, how it's behaving, you know what sort of attack it might do and you can sort of prepare for it. And that's really important, and in that regard it really helps that these creatures are recognizable.
We came up with lots of ideas for different animals that we sort of wanted to recreate in the game. But also at the same time we were looking for different opportunities for the player in terms of maybe there should be an enemy or a machine that has a lot of loot on them. What kind of machine would fit with that? So we came up with the Shell Walker. The Shell Walker is basically a walking treasure chest. It has this super valuable loot on its back. So that's kind of where the idea then originates. You want the machine to have a certain purpose in the game.
We wanted basically every aspect basically to have their own robots, and of course basically there are lakes and rivers and other sort of water bodies in our game as well. So the Snapmaw, the crocodile, basically was specifically designed to take advantage of those sort of environments and offer the player a new challenge in that environment.
So the Snapmaw is one of the enemies that we haven't shown much of. It operates very often in groups. The machine itself is already very dangerous, especially in the water. Fortunately for Aloy we have sprint swimming, so she can swim a little bit more quickly. But often that won't be fast enough, so you have to be very careful. So Aloy has a unique ability. She can use her spear to override machines. The broadheads can, if you override them, you can use them as a mount. But if you override the Watcher, for example, you can turn its faction, so it will fight alongside, it will fight for Aloy. Then we have the Tallneck. Once she manages to climb the Tallneck and overrides the Tallneck, she uncovers a large part of the areas. It clears the fog of war in that area, but also reveals machine locations throughout that entire region. She also unleashes a big blast that stuns any nearby machines in the region. So whenever you encounter a machine, you can see it in its idle behavior. But when the machine itself goes into combat mode, that's when the AI basically takes over. But you can learn and study their behaviors and get better at defeating them eventually.
PlayStation.
Hey everyone, Meredith here with Hermen Hulst, and I have waited all day to talk about this game, saving the best for last for me, Horizon Zero Dawn. I have to tell you, when I first saw the very first clip of this at E3 last year, I was like blown away. This is a game for me. So talk us through a little bit about the beginning of the game. It's post-apocalyptic, 1,000 years in the future, and we meet the character of Aloy.
Yes, that's exactly. Last year you were still a redhead, right?
I was still a redhead.
Yes.
I was still like an Aloy sister.
Now,
oh, my
our goal is
sister.
for you to go back.
I will.
Right?
Hey, fine.
Hey.
I'm doing it.
But yeah, you're right. So we are what we call a post-apocalyptic game. We want to make a beautiful game, not that sort of gritty destruction, but we've moved on. And nature has reclaimed the land, and it's beautiful, it's lush. But it's also a very mysterious world. You know, it's a world that's now dominated by machines. And the big question is, how did the world come to be this way? Where did this machine come from? And that's maybe up to Aloy, up to you, right?
To figure
out. To find out, yeah.
So a lot of the game is exploration. There are missions involved, but really it's an open world for you to explore and figure out the world of the old ones. And is it any reminiscent of a time or an area that we have here in present day? Like, will you recognize like, oh, that might be the Rocky Mountains, or oh, that might be Africa?
I've seen some pretty interesting speculation on that, and yeah, there are some real world references in there. I can't disclose which one because I'd be giving away too much, right? Yeah.
You gotta play the game to find out, otherwise it wouldn't be the game. Now, there's actually no tutorial in this game. There's no like, hey, do this first and then go find that.
Yeah.
So what was the decision behind that?
Well, not what we're showing here today, and that's kind of to demonstrate that the gameplay is very intuitive. It's here on the show, we've got a really cool little hands-on area, and my experience today has been people just slide right in there. It's very easy. In the actual game, there's a little bit of build-up in there, but it's going to be storytelling, so it's not going to be, here's your half hour of learning, we're teaching you the ropes. It's not going to be like that.
More just trial and error and figuring out. Because there's a ton of different ways to disarm your enemies, as we see in this thing. You know, sometimes you're from far away, other times you're using a bow, and so you're just going to kind of figure out what works best with which enemy.
Absolutely. Tactical combat has always been our thing at Guerrilla Games, even in the Killzone series already. But now we've introduced some of these machines here. You see the Shellwalker, for instance, now. It's got so many different things, right? It's got that little punch in one of its claws. It's got the shield to keep her bow. You got the close range attack. There is a ton of different ways. You can sneak attack. You can hide out. You can go long distance with your bow. There's a ton of variety in how you can take on your enemies.
And then once you actually have destroyed your enemy, you can then loot their corpse.
Yes, that is, I would recommend loot what you can, because you can craft your stuff right away, but you can also take it to a merchant. There's an entire economy in this game where whatever you find on the battlefield, you can trade that, you can buy new weapons, new outfits. In this game particularly, you see this machine here, it's corrupted. And Aloy can pick up an outfit that protects her somewhat against this venom that these machines have on her. So it's very much an RPG in that sense.
That's amazing. So what made Guerrilla decide to do an RPG? I mean, coming from a game like Killzone and then to do this, I can't think of two more different games.
We're crazy. I don't know. I've asked myself that question. How the hell are we going to pull this off? But it's, in a way, it kind of builds on what we're doing with the tactical combat and beautiful environments. But in other ways, it's so completely different. We had to build our team on the quest building side, on the open world mechanics. All of that we really had to recruit for, because we didn't have that. And I guess it's that newness, that innovation within the studio, a new genre, building a new world with new world rules, game rules is going to be fantastic for us. So we're very psyched. The team is very much in love with the game.
And it's a world that you can really get lost in. I mean, just looking at it visually, so like you were saying, it's so lush. The depth of field has so much detail, all these different places to explore. Now, she's on her own throughout this game. I mean, she does interact with some other people, but they make it very clear that she's an outsider.
She's an outcast. She was born an outcast, and she's raised by a very gentle man. But basically, and you do encounter folks that help you out here and there, but predominantly you are Aloy, you're by yourself, you were born an outcast, and you're going to figure this out. But you're very clever, you're very agile, and you're going to do this, very determined to make it happen.
One of my favorite things about these fighting sequences is when you bring up the weapon wheel and you're choosing your different things, how it goes into that slow-mo.
Yes.
I've never seen a game do that before.
We don't want to take you out of the experience completely, but we do want to give you the time and the space without the chaos around you, so we slow it down for you.
Yeah. Now this moment right here is something that at the press conference, the entire house blew up, myself included. I might have screamed. It might have happened. But not only, I think my tweet was, not only can you tame the beast, you can ride the beast?
Yeah.
Can you ride multiple animals in this, or multiple robots?
You can. So Aloy, she's got a couple of pieces of old world technology. And one of them is that focus behind her ear. She can scan the robots, learn about them. The other is she's got that spear that she can use to override. And when you override, you can either make the beasts, make the machines fight alongside you, and some of them you can override and actually use as mounts. And this is one of the Broadhead is one of the mounts that that she's got available to her.
Now I'm gonna get a little detective on you a little bit here.
Okay.
Because I've got some theories. I've got some theories. One, if we're looking at their human world as being a lot more tribal, they've gone back to hunter-gatherer.
Right.
Yet the machines have advanced. Why wouldn't have the humans advanced along with the machines if now they're so advanced?
Yeah. It is, so you clearly, we're about 1,000 years on from the near future, right? The cataclysm was about, let's say 50 years from now, maybe a little more, and then 1,000 years later is the setting of this game. And the machines, it's very advanced technology. The tribal folks very much deteriorated in their progression. But it has to do with the fact that humanity is no longer the dominant life form, the machines are. And how exactly that came to be, we'll leave that for Aloy to find out.
I love that, Earth is ours no more. I was like, oh, that's a sweet tagline. I love that. I also like to point out that her name is Aloy, and that reminds me of alloy, which is a metal, which is what the robots are made of.
Clever, I like it.
So I don't know, if maybe we're saying that she might be a little more like them than her outcast counterparts.
It's an it's a very interesting theory. Very interesting theory. I appreciate the undercover work you've been doing.
I have. Well, at the very end of that last trailer, when she's like trying to find herself, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna be outcast forever," and she goes up to that door. It's like this mysterious door, and she just walks up to it, and it says, "Identity confirmed."
Yeah, it didn't
that
say.
Was tricky.
It did not say identity explained.
No.
In this interview, no.
Of course not.
But confirmed, yes, absolutely, completely confirmed.
Definitely not. I'm just gonna say, go on record right here, where I think there might be a little connection there with her and the robot beast, and maybe that is why she's the chosen one to take the Earth back. Who knows?
I like it.
You like it?
I'm gonna take that back to the studio.
Oh, good. For the next one, put that in there. I'm already planning Horizon Zero Dawn 2. I'm ready.
Writer.
Right, let's do it. I'm all for it.
Right.
Gorilla, are you listening? I'm all for it. Okay, well, I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. Herman, thank you so much for coming by and explaining a little bit more. We're going to look forward to this February 2017, right?
That's exactly it.
Okay, so Valentine's Day gifts out there for all of you thinking of a good gift for your sweetheart. Pick this game up. Thank you so much for being with us.
PlayStation.
Let me tell you what's out there. Vast reaches of wilderness, untamed. A rugged domain, majestic, but lethal. It belongs to them, the machines. The steel beasts who rule these lands and guard the secrets buried beneath its crumbling ruins. If you hunt these wilds, no matter how skilled you are, no matter how clever, you will become the hunted. Can you brave that challenge? Can you pass that test? If you want to survive, you have to make the kill. Only then can you bring to light the deep secrets of the Earth.
Here we go.
Horizon Zero Dawn is simultaneously a role-playing game that plays like an action game. We're known for our first-person shooter series, Killzone, and well, storytelling in an open world and in an RPG is not something that we had done before. But I think all of us, we really welcome it as just a wonderful opportunity to create something that's so fresh, so new. It's a wonderful challenge for us.
This game has a lot of different ecotopes, as we call them. Each of the ecotopes come with their own machines to discover, and their own machines basically with their own behaviors and what they're doing in that environment. We've shown at E3 basically our sort of more foresty, fall-like environment, but we also have deserts in the game, we have high mountain peaks completely covered in snow, we have jungle in the game, we have loads of different environments, and of course a really big part of it is also the ancient ruins that we have in the game, which are again a completely different sort of atmosphere and setting. So the game has a full day-night cycle, but on top of that there's also a very dynamic weather system. So you get the types of weathers that belong to certain ecotopes. And that of course also has an influence on the gameplay. It reduces visibility or makes certain things harder, certain things might also be easier. So there is a large component of how the look and the weather and the day cycle basically impacts your experience as a player. The transition from Killzone to Horizon has been really interesting, both from an artistic point of view as well as technically. When we're making Killzone, we're making linear levels or serpentine levels. Basically, you walk through them, but we have very tight control. And that's completely different than an open world. But the player has a lot more freedom to approach things the way that they want to see it. So we really had to basically start looking at the world from a 360 point of view. Basically looking at all the different directions that the player could approach, how things would look, basically how the vistas would look, and all these different aspects.
PlayStation